Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. On time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no flight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bear. Some of you guys I've seen already today. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
It's been a little bit busy. And of course, with me right now is my co-host with the mostest, the cub in all things, Techy Joe.
Hello.
And
I'm doing pretty good. How about you? Little hot. I do have to say, there's another scorcher here.
very hot. Hey, Brenda.
Yay! But I guess we should be grateful we're not drowning. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, it's been some crazy weather.
It has been. I need you to step out for a second.
Alrighty, and hello, Shannon. Hello, Brenda. So yeah, well, I'll go ahead and jump in then. So Germany, been hit with some severe flooding. The photos and the videos are just absolutely ungodly. I'm moving you. So yeah, jumping into Germany. So yeah, the photos were horrific. Like the video is even worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of devastation.
So hundreds of people's lost homes. At least 100 dead.
So this was and this is after a century, like once in a century kind of storm.
Mm-hmm.
Or one that has broken century-old records. I'm not sure which.
It's broken century-old records. They're calling it, and they do this with once in 100 years, once in 100 years. No, a sinkhole opening up the size of the New River Gorge is not once in 100 years.
Well, effectively, we do run into that issue though. Like in a lot of places that they don't get a lot of rainfall. They have adequate drainage for their normal rainfall plus a little extra, but you get totally slammed and those low-lying areas are still low-lying areas.
Mm-hmm.
So you get some disasters with that. And we've talked about some of those, like West Virginia has a few areas that it's like, why do you build there? Why did you build there?
Yeah.
It's going to do this every 5, 10, 15 years. Why did you build there? But when you get into century, level rainfall, understandably, someone built there. Like it should have never happened, but it did.
It did.
So yeah, and apparently massive delays and cancellation of service of the German railways. Then there was a dam break. And they've deployed 800 soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But no, looking at the sinkhole picture, I for a moment there thought they had taken a picture of the New River Gorge and imposed it over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mary, we hate to hear that you're in the hospital. Glad you can still tune in to us, though.
Oh, and then some very uplifting news. German soccer associations have pledged $3.5 million to aid flood victims.
Yes. And the German people then themselves will turn out. Like they have always been, one Germany, one German people. Something happens in the north part of the country, it happens to all Germany.
Well, not always, but for a good long time now, they've been a very unified Germany.
Well, I'm saying that, even when it was East Germany and West Germany, they continued to build relations. I mean, look at Angela Merkel. She was and may still be in DC on business. And she has moved on and moved forward and been like, all right, you guys got this. I'll take care of this over here and I'll be back.
Oh, yeah. So the Europe-wide death toll is at 118, likely to rise. 103 people have died in Germany and at least 15 in Belgium. Those are a little, well, that was 12 hours ago, so far as we know. So it's been a very, in a Dutch hospital, including 200 patients will be evacuated due to flood risk. Oh, sorry, this is one of those CNN, continuous update stories that I'm going through. So there's a lot going on there.
Right. Well, what I'm looking at is the Times, and it is just all in. Like, they're doing everything to contain this flood. Like, the whole community is out bagging sand to try to protect from the dam blockage. But it's a huge section of land. I mean, we've got the Netherlands, Germany, France, that whole region there flooded left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a tremendous amount of water.
Yeah.
It's just devastating.
Very.
So, I mean,
gone.
In this perspective, I'll take the heat, but
in this perspective, we'll take the heat and, the Taco Bell and be done with it.
Well, hey, let's not get into Taco Bell. That was a mess. Dinner was a mess. But yeah, it was just dinner.
Oh, which we may get rain tomorrow. We will see.
We are predicted to get rain tomorrow.
We are. Now, we are, still having the virtual psychic fair the next 2 days, rain or shine, because it doesn't matter. We're at home. And you guys will be at home.
And even if we got flooded out, you would see Aeson in a boat with his phone.
Yes. Or another phone.
He'll just knock one out of someone's hands, be like, hold on, I gotta log in.
Hold on, I've got to manage this. There's a picture of somebody working from home and the whole house is falling down around them. I want fucking money from that.
Oh, basically. But no, we've managed to work through a few different events.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I worked through the Duratio we had.
Mm-hmm. I remember you talking about that. That was, I know for Princeton, that was a horrible time anyway.
It was.
Because I remember that rolling through. That was a lot of just really bad storms back to back. I think we lost power for days. We were actually in an area that you would have thought we would have been first, second, third, somewhere in there, back online because we were right next to the hospital. But no, wrong side of the street. Our power came from the other direction.
Yep. So let's see. Where do you want to go next? The wobbling moon?
Yeah, let's talk about the wobbling moon since we're talking about flooding.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But it finally made it to local news. We covered it before Fox 59. Every eastern coast in the 2030s is predicted to have more floods. No, this is not because of TikTok witches. Let's get that out of the ballpark first. This happens every 18 and a half years. The moon wobbles a little. She likes to shake it up and get the dust off of her.
Absolutely. Well, it's every U.S. coast.
Yes.
But yeah, So yeah, set to face surge and high tide floods along its coast due to a wobble in the moon's orbit. So what is this wobble thing?
It just wobbles. It goes out of orbit a little bit. Just a little. Just a little, like 2 or 3 freaking degrees, and it really increases the high tides, and weather gets interrupted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and first reported in 1728. There's a lovely trivia answer for someone.
Mm-hmm.
In case you ever need to know.
Yes, the moon began dancing in 1728.
Well, they first noticed it.
Right. Well, that's also when they got the first telescopes.
Well, yeah. I'm figuring before then it was still doing a nice slow summer.
Exactly.
So it didn't just learn to dance. It's just, someone finally got it on, Dancing with the Stars.
Uh-huh. Ting.
Best pun of the night. I just got it.
But no, so if you have a beach house, if you live in New York, if you live near coastal areas, I'd move by 2030.
Well, you definitely want to, be prepared. Maybe visit, maybe spend the summer not on the coast. Might be, the 2030s might be a bad time for a beach vacation.
True. Come to the mountains.
Mark that on the calendar. Just bad time for a beach vacation.
Yeah. Who knows, though? We might have a beach ourselves.
Hey, at least temporarily.
Well, temporarily, permanent. All depends on how global warming does.
Mm-hmm.
Also known as the scientific natural process of the Earth heating up from the Ice Age.
Well, there is a lot of that. There's also been a lot of global warming that was man-made. So we've done a lot. We built a lot. That Industrial Revolution was a nasty, nasty period. Wonderful for us. It did a lot of things technologically. It advanced society in a number of ways, but we also made some really bad choices.
Yes.
And we still continue to.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. So yeah. All
right. So we do have a question. So we'll go ahead and take the question.
All right. Alrighty. Christina 92285 wondering when Ivan and I will be reunited physically again.
Looking at it, I'm going to say about 7 weeks. I think he comes back. You guys have to get some stuff worked out, and then you guys are able to solidly build the relationship. Okay. All right. So this next hot topic is Walmart's. It's going to have to pay someone a very large paycheck.
Well, maybe not. They're expecting it to be reduced to $300,000, but Walmart was hit with a $125 million verdict against them Friday today in a disability discrimination case. So yeah, the company fired Mario Spaeth, an employee with Down syndrome who worked at Walmart for 16 years. A federal jury determined on Friday that Walmart violated the ADA when it fired an employee with Down syndrome following issues related to her work schedule. Basically, she had asked for some adjustments to her schedule so that, it would quit causing her problems. Right. But apparently her original availability, they were scheduling within that. So they were trying to argue that, hey, that's when she told us she was available.
Right.
So, we didn't do anything wrong. That jury said that was crap, that these were very reasonable accommodations, that, everything that Walmart was asked to do was totally reasonable. She had asked to be rehired because she was apparently a well-reviewed employee, but she was denied. And all this is on top of last year, Walmart paid $20 million to settle a equal opportunity lawsuit that said a physical abilities test disproportionately excluded female applicants from jobs as grocery order fillers.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure this out. A physical abilities test.
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry, I seem to be having some communications issues. Let me see if we got that fixed now.
All right.
There we go. So, yeah, it's been a... Walmart, and granted, Walmart is a huge company. Mm-hmm. So invariably, when you gather together that many people, you're going, like, as a corporate entity. You spread them over that many areas, spread a company over that many areas, with that many employees, with that many managers, with that, you're going to find way more kinks in any system than if we're talking about a small mom and pop. Right. But yeah, Walmart doesn't have a great track record to start with, mm-hmm. Especially towards women. Right. They've been in many cases in which women have been horribly treated by Walmart, either corporately, managerially, however you want to, overlooked for promotions, overlooked for, pay increases, basically teaching more junior staff, training them effectively to take jobs that they should have been taking themselves.
Right. Well, what I'm trying to understand, because we grocery shop, we also click list. I'm trying to figure out what the heaviest dang thing we left.
Honestly, a lot of companies kind of will pull that stunt. I know that being an IT employee, I was technically supposed to, I had to assure them that I could lift 75 pounds or more.
Right.
And I'm going, I might, in the course of my employment, done that once or twice. And quite frankly, that was probably a bad choice for all of us involved. As in, we should have had a much better solution.
See, that 50-pound dog food, okay. I'm just trying to think here. Because, I'm not supposed to lift heavy stuff. You were on a weight restriction.
Well, I was for a long while.
25-pound dog food, yeah. I think that's the heaviest thing we left.
Yeah.
Shannon says that Walmart's actually changed some policies over the female thing. Now I know many females can pick up 50-pound bags of dog food, etc. Now they have to have a team pickup. However, they are also still wanting to keep pickup rate at $100 an hour.
Basically, they have to be able to go through and pick 100 items in an hour.
Who orders 100 items?
No. Not for one order. Although it could be. But as in, you've got to be able, I'm assuming, if I understand correctly, is you've got to hit a rate at which you are, for grocery filling, putting one item in the bag less than every 1 second.
Again.
Every minute.
Yeah.
So about every, I don't know, let me work out the math. So it's 100 items in an hour, so that's 100 items in 60 minutes. Let me hit my calculator.
Item every 45 seconds.
Yeah, there you go. Somewhere around there. So yeah. That means you've got to be able to understand what the item the person is asking for is, find it in the store, which God knows, heaven help us.
I mean, don't worry about it, especially ours.
Yeah. Find it on the shelf, find it, exactly what someone is asking for, and put it in the bag and move on to the next item in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And that would include getting from item to item.
Right.
So, yeah. That's a fairly quick rate of picking. It doesn't sound like a lot, like
It is.
45 seconds to find an item in a store, but it is. It really is. Oh, it's only from one area. Awesome. Yeah, when as the orders are picked up, it is scanned and it will tell you if the item is the correct item. That's got to be annoying sometimes if it's like, nope, 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 nope.
True.
What? Because I'm sure there's occasionally items like that like you can click it on the website, but that ain't what's on the shelf.
Right. Thermal has 5,500 items for a day, with more than that drop at 3 p.m.
Sounds
That's a lot of pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That is. But yeah, but no, team lifting, that I mean, honestly, that's what people should be doing anyway. Like, I'm sorry, no. If a random part of your job
Mm-hmm.
is to continuously lift heavy items, that probably should not be a sole position. As in, if you are all day long, like, throwing heavy items, that really shouldn't be a single person duty, because you're gonna wear yourself down with that.
There's no reason a robot cannot do it.
Very much so.
Okay. Team lifting, I'm not a 4. That's how I entered myself. Give me a robot.
Very true. Of course, you were in a unique situation, and you made a very understanding and a very good choice despite the outcome.
Right.
You know, you chose to protect someone instead of yourself, because yeah. Alrighty, and looks like we've got the beginning of a question from someone. Sweet baby Earl, you're gonna have to throw in your date of birth.
Yep.
Month, day, and year. And then we can get to that. So yeah, but no. I mean, I just don't think it's fair to people. Like, I don't care what gender you are, or that's not the deal. It's just this whole He-Man attitude, boys club thing, that you want to try to create a job that excludes women. That's bad enough, but actually having to do that stupid job that's been set up in a way that only a man can do it, ultimately ends up causing a lot of back issues for people.
Well, that's also why a lot of like male aides, male nurses get hurt more often, is because they're throwing the heavier patients.
Well, and I also noticed that while volunteering at the hospital, because you got to keep in mind, this is my second neck surgery and my second weight restriction that I've come off of. The first one was while I was volunteering at the hospital. And one thing I can tell you is, when pushing a patient, because as a volunteer, that was a big part of what I did, it's not as simple as you'd think. No, I'm not picking them up, but at the same time, maneuvering that wheelchair gets harder, one, the larger someone is, and two, the more they move in the chair. If they move to the left, if they move to the right, if they prop their legs up, if they scoot too far forward, if they lean forward, any of that changes the weight distribution on, especially what we used to call the lawnmower chairs, the ones that are rigid frame and like they're not a collapsible chair. They look like a lawnmower handle. You have to squeeze it to release the brakes. Those are especially just like a shopping cart, because that's very much what their design reminds me of. Is like, if you walked into the store and the first thing you went to pick up in that store were sodas, and you piled them all on the front corner, just try to push that one time and you'll understand what I'm talking about. It really throws how that cart wants to move. And it made it a lot more effort. So there were people I had to refuse, because I'm sitting there. Thankfully, we did get weight numbers, and I probably pushed a little bit more than I should have. But sometimes I would see a weight and go, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's just no way. Like,
Right.
this is going to hurt later. It's going to hurt bad. So
Yep.
we do have Sweet Baby Girl's date of birth. Thank you so much. So we can go ahead and get to their question.
Uh-huh.
You ready for that?
Yes.
All righty. So Sweet Baby Girl 5/14/94. Will the guy I'm dating and I be in a more committed relationship later this year, or will he ask me to marry him?
All right, sweet baby girl. When looking at this, I think you guys get more committed. I don't throw a proposal this year. I think you're looking more next year for a proposal. And with that, I think it's just because you guys have to get your communication down. He isn't ready for marriage yet. He isn't even ripe for marriage yet. He needs to get his emotions in order and be ready to take on that mantra before he's going to be moving there. So I would say marriage would probably be sometime in 2022.
Awesome. We hope that helps.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely.
So let's see. We were talking Walmart's. I'm glad they're having to pay. I don't care if it's just $300,000. I think they need to pay cash out, pay out, and keep paying.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I would love to see this actually get held at the 125 million.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the larger the verdict is, the more Walmart realizes it's a problem.
Right.
And that no, we have to fix this. We have to address this. We have to quit being stupid.
Right.
Like, we have to make good choices.
Right.
And we have to make sure that everyone throughout the company is making the same good choices. Because sometimes small awards can be seen as, well, as cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm.
And it can cause bad behavior to just keep occurring. You smack them with the big fine, and suddenly they go, it's way cheaper to do the right thing the first time than to get penalized for it left, right, and center.
Right.
Granted, with Walmart, 125 million is probably still a drop in the bucket.
I think they take that more in 5 minutes than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we have another question.
We do. Selena 82488, is the guy I'm dating being loyal to just me, and will we go on vacation together next month?
Let's take a look here.
That's a 1-2 combo.
It is. You know, he talks a good game, but he really is just loyal to you. You will probably have people telling him, but he was flirting with it. He wasn't flirting. He was conversating. All right. Do I feel you two go on vacation? Yes. Do I think that you two have to isolate yourselves a little bit more than what you are in your relationship? Most definitely, Selena. I think people have got their nose in your business, and you need to kick them on out of it. Okay?
Hopefully it's a great vacation.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't get flooded.
Yeah.
All right. So, when we go and, you know, we were having a conversation this morning over breakfast, and I think me and you have differing opinions.
Well, I think we do, but we also agree on some parts.
Okay.
So the question was posed this morning to us is, while we're eating out now, do we feel more guilty about the fact that our servers are making so little? I will start with, like, no, I don't, but here's why. I've always felt bad for what servers make. I think it's a ridiculous amount of money. You know, I'm sorry. I remember being in college pre-college the summer before and looking at job opportunities. And I quite frankly walked out of the one and only server position I started to apply for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the interviewer or the manager was really nice. Like, we sat, we had, like sweet tea or whatever, an appetizer, I forget what all. Anyway, had a nice, lovely conversation. But once I saw the money, I was like, no, no, point blank, no.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 21 years ago.
Wow.
So, and I'm like, because, minimum wage was a lot lower then.
Right.
For everyone.
Yeah.
But even then, it was a little closer. Well, it was a little bit.
No, it was not closer because when I started waiting tables,
Mm-hmm.
the paycheck said I made, I think, $2.14 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it still there?
Possibly. I mean, waitresses' wages don't get raised that often.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying, because at the time, minimum wage was like 5 something.
Right.
And I was just doing the math and going, I don't know that I want to sit here and sometimes I'm going to make really good money and other times maybe not.
Yeah. In West Virginia, the current minimum cash tip position is $2.62. Okay.
Yeah, that's not a large increase compared to the 5 to like $7.50.
Right.
Like that's
I don't care how dead of a night it was. I never walked out of there without making at least $20 to $30 an hour.
fair.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
This is what people don't understand. This is why I'm very picky in my service, but be picky how I tip. I very rarely tip on card because they have to report that tip.
True.
Okay. That $2.62 or whatever they're supposedly making covers their taxes. What they actually make is what they make. And if they're a good server, they're in a good, decent restaurant that's fairly busy, there's no reason they're not walking out with anywhere between $50 and $200 to $500 in their apron at the end of the night.
Fair. But at the same time, I know when I was looking at it and the specific restaurant I was looking at, maybe it was a horrible time or exactly when someone wants to, as a manager, interview an employee, but it was dead.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, I would really hate to just stand here or sit here for $2 or whatever it was then.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed kind of like it didn't mentally work for me.
Right. And it doesn't mentally work for somebody that's used to a by rate hour pay.
Well, and at that point, I wasn't exactly.
Right.
I'd only had one job before that.
Uh-huh.
And I had it for all of a month. Because let me tell you, back in 99, trying to do cold call sales for a cellular service that had like $2 a minute plans was next to impossible when you also had to pay like $400 for a cell phone.
Right.
On top of that.
Right.
They weren't like smartphones.
Here's an example. Bridge Day here is a big event.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen waitresses work breakfast starting at 5 and ending at 1 and walk out with $3,000 in her apron in cash. Not counting the card or the got left at the register. That was in cash.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Well, and I was also looking for something I could move into my, granted, it never worked out for me, but I was looking for something that I could carry on while in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I, again, didn't really know that was going to work as well at the time.
Right.
Granted, a lot of things went wrong that summer, and none of my best laid plans worked out. Probably for
men.
Do what now?
For mice or men.
No, it didn't go well at all. Because I actually I applied for probably like 20 jobs. I was interviewed for 3 and I accepted 2. But I only ended up working 1 because I worked for 1 week at McDonald's.
Which could have paid your college tuition, but you got bored of the fries.
No, I got offered an extra like quarter an hour. And didn't have to, because let me tell you, the one thing that got me from working there was just after the first shift, the clothes that I bought to work in, totally destroyed. Like you couldn't wear them anywhere else. They were just so saturated with grease, I couldn't get it to come out.
That's hydroperoxide 1 cup, Dawn 1 cup, and your preferred fabric softener.
Well, it would have been great information then. I didn't have it. I ended up throwing out 2 pairs of pants and 2 shirts.
Yeah, someone take notes. You'll need it.
Yeah, really. Oh, and Selena did have a follow-on question.
Okay.
Do you see us going on my family's vacation or going to Vegas together? Just curious.
Vegas. You'll go on to Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Vegas. Stay away from downtown now. All right. So let's take on Devin's question, because I think Devin's question is kind of cute.
Oh, yeah. So, Devin, 31678, will I meet a hot drummer guy at the drum circle tomorrow?
You will, but he'll act too shy to really do much about it. Get his number, talk him up. He's got a self-confidence problem. You've worked with that before, Devin.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, but no.
But always tip your waitress. I don't feel bad tipping a good waitress. I will double and triple tip a good waitress. A bad waitress, well, they ain't working, they don't get tipped.
I tend to try to always tip at least something. Typically, I want to tip you 20%. That's where I'm at. Like, that's where I'm starting at, is like at least 20% is where I want to be. Now, I run into servers that I'm like, look, you screwed the pooch so sideways on this one that I can't blame the kitchen for this.
Right.
Like, you screwed up. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not tipping for that. Find a new job or fix your life. I can't do anything with this. I rarely do that. Like, I will gloss over a fair amount.
You rose glass in the whole damn set. I'm like, where's my 5-star service? Oh, you came to get our order, and you tell us you're our server. Wonderful. Okay. Oh, hi. Who are you? Oh, you're bringing us our food. That's lovely. Where's our server? Ain't seen him nowhere. Continuing not to see a server. Drinks going empty. Ice melting in my glass. Yeah, you're getting a dime. If I have 2 nickels, I'd rather give you 2 nickels. Because you need a new job.
See, well, but then I also overtip.
Yes,
yes, I do. Because let me tell you, if you deliver to me in the rain, you're getting off the top. I don't even care if you screw up my order. If you kept me from having to go out in the rain, screw it. I'm giving you a good tip. Like, I don't even care. Like, nah. I will tip you well for delivery in rain.
Or implement do extra for me because they're already getting minimum wage. I'm sorry, they got to do backflips or look cute or deliver in 5 minutes. That is different than wait staff.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, well, granted, I do gloss over a number of issues.
Yep.
And just go, I don't know what's going on here. Was the food delayed out of the kitchen? Did someone in the kitchen forget to tell the server? Does the server have 20 tables? I don't know what's going on. I'll gloss over a few things.
Wow.
But yeah, like if my order comes out totally wrong, like in for in, wrong. Like this isn't even close to what I said, then yeah, I'm gonna start getting a little.
I'm past her, and I'm like, send it back to the kitchen, and I need to see the manager. Yeah, because we recently had this experience. We just recently started going out and dining again.
Yes.
And this has happened now at 2 of our favorite restaurants. Waitress comes over, takes her order, Someone else brings us drinks. Someone else brings our food. We don't see the waitress at all. We see other waitresses doing, the catch up, the refills, the do you want dessert? Do you need a box? Would you like a drink to go? Here's your check. The 5 steps of service. And then we get a check delivered. You didn't work. All your coworkers worked for you. No.
I will say on the one, I was cranky about that.
I was cranky about both of them.
Well, I like the one in particular I was really cranky about because they didn't even like try.
No.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like they're like we saw them when we placed the order, which came out wrong, and then we saw them the next time at the very end of the meal to deliver the check.
Right.
And it was kind of like a drop and go.
Right.
Like, no, thanks. No, have a great evening. Can I get you anything else? Do you need one for the road? Do you need a bag, a box, or whatever?
Would you like a dessert? So
nothing.
Let's talk about this for a minute. And this is an old principle of waiting tables. It's called the 5 steps of service. You greet them and you get their drinks. You come back and get their order. You deliver their order. Then you start into your 5 steps of service. Refilling drinks. Checking to see if they need any salsas. And you come back again for a 3rd time. See if they need any drinks. See if they want dessert. See how the food is. The 4th time you come back and you drop the check off. Ask them if they need anything. And the 5th time is when you come back and, normally pick up your tip.
I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if, because we are seeing it more. Did we maybe go tag team on, serving?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm just curious. Like, if we did, that would be a totally different expectation. But I think that's a really
people working for me.
Well, I would think it would be a really dangerous thing.
Yeah.
As in, you have a potential that, like, if someone forgets a table, if someone's not used to this, if they're more used to, like, I have tables. These are my tables. This is my section. These are my people. This is my circus. These are my monkeys.
Yeah.
If that's where your head is, trying to, like, oh, yeah, I've got to support everyone, has to be a little bit of a lot.
Right. So, do I have any guilt for not tipping a server? Nope. But guess what? They've got to really suck to not get a tip. They got to really suck. Like dishes are piling up, cups are piling up. No one's doing any pre-busing to help those bus boys. No one is offering me a dessert. Lord knows I like my desserts. I'm a bear. I need my chocolate-covered ice cream brownie heated up with a little bit of walnuts on it.
Yeah.
And overpriced.
Though I will say the worst service I have ever had was actually in Greensboro, North Carolina. It was a certain restaurant known for ice cream that had been run through a blender with milk and sides of beef that have been, specifically cut and might be served with A1. So if you can decipher that, you can be, as angry as you want to be. But anyway, so I'm at this restaurant. We like this restaurant. We love this restaurant. We're used to what we normally get there, which is awesomeness. 4 of us at a table. It was an hour before we got like a drink order taken. Not got our drinks, but got our drink order taken. It was another 45 minutes before we got our drinks. Thankfully, we were self-occupying at this point.
I would have been gone.
We were self-occupying. We were like, having our own moment. But then, like, it was this one poor server trying to cover an entire restaurant. And right about we got our drink order and we put in our food order was when we noticed what was going on. And so, like, we're letting it ride because we're feeling really bad for this poor server. He's bussing tables. He is cooking food. He is taking orders. One human being. And I can't even fault him because he's doing the best he can, running everything.
Mm-hmm.
I look over and I see the manager standing at the counter talking to one customer this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps going. Like, this conversation doesn't stop. It just keeps going. And so I apparently stupidly, because it was going to obviously be a while on our food, went over and said something to the manager, tried to be really polite about it and go, hey, I was just wondering how long it might be. Is our server doing everything tonight? And without understanding what I was being asked, the manager of this restaurant asked me if I wanted to go talk outside.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it. I did not get that I just got man challenged to go take it outside. If he had said that, I might have gotten it, but talk about it outside. So I go outside with this manager who is like prepping up to like beat me down when my friends catch what is going on and they all stream out the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh no, this is not happening tonight. So yeah, we ended up leaving at that point. I felt really bad for the guy that was working though. Like, your manager screwed you, man. Like, did not even try to help.
Uh-huh.
Like, bussing tables, taking orders, cooking the orders, delivering the orders, supposed to be doing drinks and refills, all of it. Run the whole restaurant. And we're not the only table. It's not like it's, a middle of the night thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just was floored that the manager couldn't on their own get, maybe I need to stop this conversation and go do some stuff.
Right.
Like, hello. Hi, Neil. And we've got a question from Wicked Fairy, but...
Well, we've got a question from Mary first.
Oh, yes, we do. Yep. So, Mary, 11/28/57, the ER CAT scan diagnosis is fatty pancreas. I am shocked.
Well, wait till they get a look at the liver, Mary. That'll be enlightening to you, too.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, it's right. Which normally means you need to do some cleansing. Kitchen, we don't take out. Kitchen shit is kitchen shit.
Yeah.
Waitress shit, however.
Yeah.
All right. Wicked Fairy.
Alrighty. Wicked Fairy, 7/25/84. What is the energy around me getting pregnant this year and in any gender, one baby or two? So that's a combo. So am I getting pregnant? If I am getting pregnant, is it a boy or a girl? And if it's a boy or a girl, is it, one of each, two of one?
Two boys, probably this time next year, and they are both very, very, very active. So I would work on your walking. I think this year's too stressful for you for pregnancy, and I think you're going to have to kind of focus yourself a little bit more on self-care.
There we go. Alrighty.
Alrighty. So what else is in the news? Oh, yes.
So which one do you want to take on first? We do have two left.
Well, let's take on Morrissey first, because the trans fight bill, I want to have some time with that one to stretch my muscles.
Fair. So, all right, and this really shouldn't be the Morrissey article. It really is the Manchin article. Manchin actually, prepare yourself, made some decent points regarding drug overdose deaths and trying to make sure there was funding for rehabilitation, treatment, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Made these lovely points. That went out in the news. All was well, fine, and good. And later that afternoon, Morrissey steps in, our West Virginia.
Morrissey climbed out of his 56-inch 18 TV rock and came up with this idea.
Let's close the border. That was his whole thing. Was all the drugs are coming from Mexico, so let's just close the borders. That'll solve the problem.
When his own office is suing the opioid companies that manufactured the drugs, that started the drug problem, that injured the drug things. Like, how is that even connected with the borders, you idiot?
Well, and moreover, that's not going to fix the real problem, which is the human suffering in all this. You're closing the borders, even if we allow for a second that this would solve the drugs coming into the area, which it won't, but let's pretend it did. We still have a much bigger problem than the drug use, which is we don't have adequate funding to help people quit. We don't have bed space. We don't have enough. We don't have the resources,
right,
to help this problem, to take care of this problem to start with, which was Manchin's point, and it's a good point. Even if we allow for 1 second that Morrissey might have had a point, which he doesn't. So your solution is we're going to cut off supply and we're just going to hope it all goes away magically. I'm sorry, but we've already been down this road.
Yeah.
We did this. We did this a few years back. We did this with opioid, prescription medications. We shut that door hard and fast. And what we saw was people move from a legal prescription they received from their doctors to an illegal drug that they bought on the streets. Now, if you think you're going to close the borders and shut all this down, the reality is you still have an internal drug trade. You're going to just drive the prices up a little bit. And it's still going to flow into West Virginia. And it's going to effectively be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You're still going to have drugs coming in. You're still going to have people with addiction. You are still going to have people who need care and resources. So even if we pretend for a second that he has a point, it's still a horrible, stupid comment because it doesn't help anything. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't provide a solution to any problem. It is feel-good rhetoric about immigration that appeals to a Republican base. That's all it is.
Exactly. And this is dog whistling. Dog whistling in general. And let's be clear, the borders have been closed.
Yeah. Welcome to COVID-19.
Yes.
But, it's just... But it's the bigger point. He's not even interested in addressing the problem, which he's never been. If you look at all the fucking lawsuits he's filed and the awards he has taken into his office regarding those lawsuits, any settlements, any awards due to, which I don't think one of these trials has gone all the way to verdict.
Right.
All of them have been settled.
Right, because
that
it's
money
cheaper than dealing with dumbass.
Well, yeah. But, and, some schmoozing and some, dinners out and probably some alcohol, probably, real quick and easy to get him to sign to whatever. But regardless of that, the bigger point being, when that money has come into his office, instead of going into rehabilitation programs and funds to help with the crisis that these companies created.
No, they go into his TV fund.
Well, it goes into his slush fund.
Yeah,
That
his
he,
TV fund.
yeah, that he had to demand total discretion over.
Which it should go directly into treatment, directly into opening up one of these closed hospitals as a drug treatment facility for the state. And I'm telling you, the beds would fill up immediately. Like, they would go to capacity day one.
Right. So none of this money currently, or very, very little of it, is going towards rehabilitation programs, all of the first responders that are having to deal with this issue, and overdose is specifically. It's not going towards children being, with parents that are both substance abusers or a primary caregiver that is a substance abuser. None of this money is getting to the places where West Virginia is feeling the most pain. All of it, the vast majority, is going into a fund that, so basically what Morrissey is doing with each of these lawsuits is taking a stick and smacking a money piñata to fill up his own, so to speak, his office's coffers.
Yeah.
To do with as he pleases.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the state of West Virginia has to keep trying to find sources of funding to help, to get Narcan to first responders, to get Narcan training, to get, the equipment that they need to deal with this issue. And right now, one of the biggest problems West Virginia is facing is that the rate of overdoses are so high, it's exhausting and burning out first responders.
Yeah.
Because they're going from one overdose to the next, to the next, to the next. They're walking into one house after another with kids that are neglected, mistreated, hungry, malnourished. All of this is what they're now dealing with. And we're talking about EMS crews. We're talking about firefighters. They signed up job-wise to respond to fires and car accidents and all these other things. And what they're primarily dealing with in West Virginia right now is one overdose after another, one really, really bad living situation after another for whoever lives in that home with them. Trying to keep people alive, perhaps seeing the same person a couple of times in one day, and just relentlessly, especially when we do have lace narcotics or lace drugs hit our area, this call skyrocket. So we're burning them out. They are seeing the worst side of human existence.
Right. And this is why it was so important for me and you to get Narcan trained. Every pagan clergy to get Narcan trained. Because someone's got to step up. The Christians won't step up and deal with it. Very few will. We have police departments that are the first call to anything, won't deal with it.
Right. And have actually actively worked to undermine programs that are proven to help, not only with overdose issues themselves, not with getting people into rehabilitative services themselves, but also the things that allow that to happen, which is protecting the health of someone while they're still using. As insane and controversial as this concept is, helping someone maintain health through, and we're talking needle exchange here. Charleston, quite frankly, Kanawha County, Charleston, fucked up. The state is now in an HIV epidemic in that area because the police department decided that they would rather watch people die than to allow because they hated the litter of used needles, supposedly. They hated that so much they'd rather watch people die than administer Narcan or have a needle exchange program in that city. They have done everything to eradicate it.
Mm-hmm. And they need to be charged with murder. They have the laws on the books. Let's criminally charge them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now read Brenda's comment, and then we'll take on this trans war thing.
And this is a sad one. A friend's son had to go out of state for rehab. No place in West Virginia had room available, and the waiting list was decently long.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it, is a waiting list at all diminishes the likelihood someone's going to make it into rehabilitation.
Right.
Like, quite frankly, that's often a split-second decision with a limited window. The
Right.
more someone thinks about it, the more time they have between that decision and getting into rehab is more time for them to change their mind,
Mm-hmm.
and the lower likelihood they're going to make it there.
Right.
Because even in the trip, like, you make that split-second decision and there's a bed over here and you just have to drive from here to here,
Mm-hmm.
you can have people that decide, I've changed my mind. I don't want to do this.
While we've got Fairmont Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reminded yesterday driving through Beckley, we have the old miners hospital sitting there. We have Pinecrest halfway available. We have numerous of these little small, tiny hospitals that are sitting there, built with good bricks, good windows, good hallways. We're not talking they're falling down. No, they're not top of the line medical facility. Well, we don't need top line medical facility. We need 4 walls and a roof.
Well, and it's not that these facilities may not need improvements, but what's functionally happening is West Virginia is so shorted on resources to address this issue. Thank you, Morrissey. So shorted on resources to address this issue that they, quite frankly, it's we're spreading that money as thin as we can already to try to even take on this problem.
Right.
So when you're talking to medical facilities that more than likely own these locations, because take, for instance, Princeton went on a spending spree many years ago, and bought up and has yet again bought another hospital. But and those are St. Luke's and BRMC, Bluefield Regional Medical Center, that Princeton Community bought. One has been turned into the Pavilion, that is mental health care at the old St. Luke's Hospital. BRMC, it sounded like all they were doing was keeping open the ER.
Right. And
so
the rest of it into a training hospital.
Right. So at this point, that's the best we can hope for is happening to these older medical facilities. As they're being bought up, as they're being shut down, is that they get turned into a teaching hospital or a mental health pavilion. Mental health pavilion is helpful.
Pinecrest is a 500-bed facility that was originally designed for TB patients. That means it's designed for resources and recreation. It's perfect as a drug treatment facility. Right here in the right here where we've got some of the highest epidemical deaths.
Yeah.
OCN is 32 minutes away from it.
But at this point, we have to have the resources to operate.
Right. Which, gee, we've got it in a rainy day fund. If it ain't rain, if this ain't rain, I don't know what is. We have enough to run our whole freaking our whole freaking state for a year in a rainy day fund.
Yeah. Which, again, most governments do like to keep some liquidity there for. And this is the problem. This is a long-term emergency. Because effectively what those rainy day funds are meant for is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Something absolutely horrible happens that's going to be recoverable in a very short duration. You just got to throw money at it and it'll instantly go away.
Right.
So when we talk about like horrible flooding, that's a potential rainy day item.
Famous.
I know, but hear me out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some, that's the mindset at least,
Mm-hmm.
is the water goes away, people have to rebuild, we'll make it through, is the kind of mindset. What we have with our overdose and substance abuse disorder problem, this could be 20 or 30 years. This could be 40 or 50 years. No one knows. It's going to be a very long, slow process. No one's going to wave a magic wand and fix it overnight. There's no fixing it overnight. There are so many issues surrounding. You're not going to wave a wand and fix it. It is quite frankly a problem that is going to take decades to dig out of. One, because if you think about substance use disorder solely about the person using drugs, you've already screwed up.
Right.
Because then there's everyone else they're attached to and all the other problems that creates, because this will ripple through a community. This ripples through in, problems with businesses, problems with childcare. We've already seen that with our foster care system. This is going to be a long-term issue for those kids. Then you have on top of this, we've already had one county and one city screw up needle exchange and decide that, let them die was a better choice. Without recognizing the community impact. That one, these are people now less likely to get off drugs.
Right.
Because that is one thing that does help people, is to know that they have a future worth looking forward to. And for a lot of people, especially those with a new HIV diagnosis, and especially those who are heterosexual, typically getting them to the point that this is not a death sentence takes a lot.
Right.
So you have one more stressor on them.
Right.
So invariably you've just eroded some of that stability they had in their life that would help them make the decision to go to rehab.
Right. Again, we've got wasteful facilities. All right, so let's take on this trans bill, because there's 37 states that is becoming unsafe to live in, North Carolina being one of them.
Yeah, North Carolina, Utah, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, West Virginia, and Florida have all signed their own versions of a, basically protect the girls or save women's sports legislation. As it is so called. But those are all the ones that have signed on. There are many more getting ready to look at that. It's at least been introduced. Right now we're having a lot of states in which trans girls are having to try to explain to state legislators that their ideas, this premise of an unfair advantage and a harm towards women, is ridiculous. Basically, we have children having to explain to adults that they're being stupid.
Right.
Not that this is working out so well. And then there's the extras that are in this. Which are, one, most of these laws are built in such a way as they prevent local anti-discrim from overriding. So if your local city, your local county wants to sit there and look at your state and go, screw you, we're not doing that. Most of these laws are written in a way that says, no, you can't do that.
Right.
So that removes any kind of secondary level of okay, the state screwed up, but we can fix this locally and at least make pockets of decency. Instead, what we're doing is we're making people justify their existence, their value, and their worth all over the country right now.
Right.
And we're having kids that have to do this and explain this to adults. That your idea that I am a harm to my fellow teammates is ridiculous.
It's insane. I keep going back to my time in high school when we had girls from Midland Trail and girls from, and I believe Oak Hill one season, one girl did it too. Trash these boys on the field. I mean, totally take them down and trash them. Like, we didn't understand why there wasn't a girls' football team at that time.
Hey, I learned early on in my life, don't screw with cheerleaders. They will tear you up.
That's good. Just remember that, because, somebody wasn't on the Spirit Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But anyhow, we are seeing families moving.
Yes. Effectively, this is one of the one of the few options that people have left, is trying to find pockets of our country without these laws, that maybe these laws won't get passed in, to try to help their kids make it through school without being harmed by these laws and denied opportunities, denied the ability to be themselves, and potentially make it through high school without attempting suicide.
Right.
Point blank. Like, that's where we're at. This is the realities that as you fail to affirm kids who are transitioning, the higher the suicide risk is.
Right.
Because effectively, you are sitting there telling someone you are wrong about your identity.
Right. This is ridiculous. This is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank bullshit. And I don't care if we ever get demonetized or whatever. I don't care. This is bullshit. The Supreme Court has already ruled that you cannot do this. Like, how many times does Judge Roberts have to get up on his bench and tell people just how stupid they are?
Mm-hmm.
Discrimination is discrimination. You are doing discrimination. You should have to pay. I think they're saying less than 10 trans athletes are being affected by this law. I don't care if it's 0 trans athletes. Every one of these school systems should have to pay $3.5 million to every one of those children.
Well, and here's the other issue. We went through this in West Virginia, in which, no one knows of anyone who's going to be affected. Well, then why did you need the law? If no one was going to be affected by the law, why did you need the law? Oh, because people are going to be affected.
Right.
You are intentionally... Okay, so if we're going to base this solely on people who have opened the trans closet door and said, "Hi, I'm here," please realize that what these laws do is slam that door shut on them and say, "No, you don't want to get in the middle of this. You don't want, this is your community. This is what you're coming out to." So these are kids who are going to deny, repress, ignore, and more than likely develop a lot of stress, anxiety, and other problems because they're going to have to deny a giant portion of their identity of who they are for a very long time. We saw this in the 90s, people.
Yeah.
We used to do this to gay and lesbian kids. Like, hi, did you not see how that turned out? Like, it didn't go so well.
Right.
Like, we're just starting generationally to recover from that crap.
Right.
Like, and I'm excited for gay and lesbian kids now. I'm sorry, it's just cool.
Right.
Like, I know it's not perfect. I know it's not what anyone wants for them, to like what they go through. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it is better, and the comfort level a lot of like today's kids have is really inspiring.
Right.
Like comparatively.
Mm-hmm. But this is what we cannot be lazy. We cannot not be involved. We don't have children. We have lovely fae that come visit us. We have nieces and nephews, but we as GBLT cannot get lazy. We fought this in the 90s. We know this battle. It's a Republican battle. We fire them every time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the party is. We get rid of them. They've already proven that they cannot be government officials.
Right.
Scout is having to do more work telling them, no, you stupid Republicans, you can't do that. No, you dumb idiots, you aren't allowed to do that. Hey, bigots, you go back underneath your rock, try to write a new law. This is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the bill in Texas. Bullshit.
I'm sorry, did anyone else think the future was going to be more awesome than this? Like, what the hell happened?
Well, I'm going to say it, and people aren't going to like me. They aren't going to like me. It will get more awesome as our new generation comes in. It will get more awesome as our new generation takes over and begins filling these roles.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
the generation your nieces and nephews will go into when they're up.
My great nieces and nephews.
Your great nieces and nephews. The generation they're going into, I have really high hopes for. Looking at the grounds we covered from 1981 to 2005, I am very hopeful for the newer generations. I'm a Gen Xer, you're a millennial. Gen Zs, gods, come out with the fire and the passion you got.
Yeah.
And change what's going on.
Yeah.
We already laid the framework. We're still going to be fighting when we're pushing around wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, honestly, I would like to hear some quote-unquote dumb statements and them be so normal that, like, things that we have gone through or that we know about because we were close enough to know about them because, whatever reasons, I almost to the point in my life, I want to hear people be like, what's that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and it's like, yeah, you never had to deal with that. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have to know what that is.
Right.
Like, I'm almost to the point that makes me feel better.
Right.
Like, you don't have to know what that means. You don't have to know.
Right.
That you've been able to live your life and be out and you don't understand this concept. I'm kind of getting to a point I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, I think it's really cool when I see any of our community, younger, older, whatever, being their best, doing their best. Two little, I'm going to say they're kids. I get the right to say they're kids because I could probably gave birth to both of them, walking down the street holding hands. Like, they don't understand how taboo that was.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in downtown Oak Hill. Oh, heaven help you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm there. I'm ready. I want to I know on one hand we're kind of like, learn your history, know your history, please know your history, please try to understand your history and what all's going on. At the same time, I'm just at the level of like, no, I'd prefer you to have that lack of awareness.
No, I want them to know their history.
Well, I want them to know their history. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying that I like the fact that someone could.
Mm-hmm. I want them to know who ACT UP is. I want them to know who the Lavender Angels were.
Mm-hmm. I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying the fact that someone could not know something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that you could conceivably go through your life, never understand this concept because it will never apply to you.
Yeah. Things I don't want that I would love to for them to say is, why does this bar have so many damn mirrors?
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. I look forward to one day living in a world where pep, prep, and it is like a totally foreign concept. Like, what is that about?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to like sit and explain HIV, AIDS, methods of contracting, and it's like, like your grandparents talking about going, uphill to school in both directions in the snow, blah blah blah. That kind of like, oh my God, that y'all were Neanderthals. Like I want it to be at that level where it's like, these are conversations people have that I want one day for someone to be like, what the hell is that about?
Right.
What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see. I'm sorry, I would go to another football game because I used to really enjoy high school football. I would go there to see a girl take down a damn linebacker in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Trash his ass. And, I think that where we need to make the most movement at, lovely Justice's basketball girl team. That's why he signed the bill for us, so he could protect his basketball girls and their futures.
Yeah. Sure he did. All right. Well, we have hit the game. Yeah. All right. At that point in the evening.
Yeah, we have to wrap it up tonight a little early because, of course, the virtual psychic fair is going on, and I have an 11 o'clock. Yes.
Hey, we're not complaining. Like,
we are
keep
not
scheduling.
Complaining. If you haven't scheduled, go ahead and schedule, and get your appointments in there. We have some amazing readers, and for that, go over to West Virginia WVPsychics.com. Yep. And let's get our baristas rolling because they are amazing, all of them.
Yes, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Giss, Shannon C, Shannon D, and Lady Gwendolyn. Thank you so much for your support as our Patreon sponsors. We love our baristas. If you'd like to learn more about the show or how to become a barista yourself, please visit PCSPnetwork.com.
And we will see you probably throughout the weekend. I may pop on live with other psychics. And also, we will be back Tuesday with a new show and new conversation. And hopefully some Brittany updates because they are going back to court Monday.
Oh, yeah. I get the feeling this may take a while.
I get the feeling that her new lawyer is going to eat a few of them alive.
That too.
Yep.
All right. Until then, you all have a great weekend. Enjoy your Fridays. Wear your masks. All the other stuff. Wash your hands. That's the one.
And be good to good servers only.
There's
Good night, y'all.
Good night.